done it! They have gone back-to-back for the second year in a row!
What is up,
They have won the
everybody?
Stanley Cup!
It's your boy, DG. I'm joined with my lovely, beautiful co-host, the Milkman, and we have a special guest today, the Z-Man, Mr. Zac Blobner from WDAE. How you doing, sir?
What's good? I'm great. I'm just happy that hockey's back. I think we lost it for like a week, right? That was it. Felt like the shortest offseason in the history of time of the sport. And I feel similar to the Lightning. I just feel very like happy hockey's back, but there's some kind of hangover, right, for this team. And I feel the same way. Like, I'm juiced that it's back, but there's definitely a little bit of a different element to the start of this year.
Something is missing. Milkman,
sure.
how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I can tell you what's missing. It's a fucking lead in regulation. That's what's missing. We haven't seen one yet, so I'm pretty excited to hopefully get one against Buffalo. Obviously, we're recording as the game's going on right now, so we're not going to be able to talk about it too much. But doing well. It was a good weekend overall. Bucks whooped some ass. So
Good, because the Gators didn't play. That's probably.
it's a bye week. That's not a loss.
It's
So
not a loss.
Not a loss.
I'm outnumbered today, so I'm gonna chill. But just
It would have been nice, if we had UMass on the schedule. Like, that would have been a great team. I'm just happy we didn't have to go up against Jack State,
At least we beat a 1AA team. It's a first this
Hey,
year.
there you go.
You gotta take the positives when you're a shitty team, man. Gotta take the positive.
Everything you can get.
So, boys, I'm just gonna ask the question: what's going on? Bolts lose 2 in a row. Like Milkman said, we're recording during the Buffalo game. Hopefully, we pick up a point to at least pick up, or we got a point last game, but to at least get a win this week. What's going on? We'll start off with you, Z-Man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the not even elephant in the room, but just everything is Kucherov being out, right? Throws the whole team out of whack. And it was so different than last year, because last year they were able to plan how they were going to approach things with him going on the long term, getting surgery. This year, they didn't expect it. And Kucherov honestly had his sights set on setting up another MVP type of year. Like, he had high aspirations for himself. So having him get bounced and get to be out for the foreseeable future was such a big blow. And then you remove that third line that you thought you could lean on the last few years, no Gord, no Coleman, no Gaudreau. And I like the guys that came in to replace them. Like, I didn't think there was going to be as big of a drop-off. You put the 2 young guys in there to start with Ross Colton, Matthew Joseph, arguably, maybe outside of Braden Point, the fastest guy on the team. And then a Corey Perry veteran comes in the mix and you throw him in the middle. I love that as a replacement line. The problem is you're not just trying to figure out the third line now with Kucherov out. You're trying to figure out the first line. And when you pull guys from the second line, well, now you got to refigure out the second line. The power play has been so flat. I mean, it might as well not even be a man advantage. So, like, you're just, instead of trying to, again, get yourself situated with just a turnover on that third line, the whole team is in flux, and you're trying to find that chemistry. And I trust John Cooper to do it, but it's just not something that's going to happen overnight or in the first week or maybe even in the first month, as bad as that sounds. So I just hope they keep finding ways to get points when they can, because it's going to be a slow, sluggish continuation, I think, for a while.
Well said. Well said. Milkman, what do you think? What's wrong?
Yeah, I think he was on point with that. I mean, they don't look like the Lightning. They absolutely don't look like at least the Lightning of the last, I would say, 2 to 5 years. They just don't look like that team. Maybe it's because of the short off season. Maybe it's because how much hockey they've played in the last couple of years. I mean, like a year and a half. I hope thing turns around. We're going to talk about the games obviously pretty soon here. I really want to get into the power play because it's anemic, and we're the only team in the NHL that is not to score in the first period yet, too. Which every other team in the NHL has scored in every period. We have yet to touch the first period. So the slow starts, it's been disappointing to say the least. What about you, Dev?
I mean, to me, I'm tired of the Stanley Cup being here. I feel like they're still celebrating the Stanley Cup. I'm so glad. I saw on Twitter yesterday, I believe, the Stanley Cup is finally taking its tour out to go get engraved. It's over, boys. Let's stop celebrating. I know they got their rings and everything, but let's wake up This is a new season. We can do something. We can make even more history. My goal for this team, I want them to be the best of wipe out the Islanders from the 80s. Let's go for 4. We have the talent. We have the core to do it. Let's stop celebrating the last stuff. But last year, congratulations, we won. But let's focus on that three-peat. This, honestly, though, it does remind me of 2019 or 2020, our first the COVID year where we won. Remember, we had the really, really bad start, and then we took that trip to Sweden, and then that's when we really started picking it up. And we had troubles with our power play then as well. So you lose a guy like Kucherov, of course your power play is going to be, not great, but it's different, man. It's a different team, different field, different lines. It's going to take some time, and I think we've been so spoiled because all these guys have played together and have had great chemistry. It's just going to take some time. We got a lot of new faces.
You know what scares me? I'm glad you brought up the trip to Sweden because I think that was such an important time to see the switch flipped during the course of that season, and then the team was able to kind of get on track after. I've said this really since the first game when, opening night, the Pens came to Amalie Arena and beat the Bolts. I feel like it's going to be pretty similar with the Olympics this year. And not just for the Lightning, for the league. You want to be in the mix for sure. You can't be, 30 points out of the postseason picture. But as long as you're in the mix in some capacity at that Olympic break, and then afterwards you're able to step it up a gear and really get things rolling, that's going to separate the teams that are real contenders for this cup this year and the ones that aren't. And the part that hurts us as people watching it here in Tampa Bay is, all right, does that mean we just got to suffer through knowing that the next few months before the Olympics are going to probably not have Kucherov involved at all, and that there is going to be some losses? There are going to be some nights where either the team looks a little flatter than it should, or the lines just aren't clicking like you hope that they would. I feel like that part kind of sucks because, as you both mentioned, we're accustomed here in Tampa Bay to watching these guys come out, get juiced, and put 6 or 7 goals up almost every night, to be honest.
It's so weird. It's so weird not seeing that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Now, right. I'll tell you this, though, and we're all going to talk. We're talking about the scoring a lot. Vasi hasn't been great either, guys. Mm-hmm. And if we talk about hangovers, I mean, my man, I don't know how much vodka he put down over in
lot.
Russia.
He's Russian, man. You know they drink.
Man, but I don't know they got hungover. I didn't know they got hungover because he's feeling it, man. He is. He's looking. And I'm not worried about Vasi, but if we're gonna begrudge other aspects of the team and their play so far, Vasi has not been that good. He's had his flashy moments, but overall, he's not coming in and looking like the guy we know.
Right.
I think that's a good quick segue into Elliott being a starter, and we're recording actually while the game's going on. McElhinney was not great last year, and I think there's multiple people that would agree with that. I think
all three of us in this chat right now agree that McElhinney is not.
Your goalie shouldn't have gray hair. I think I said that on the first
pause,
episode.
Pump the brakes. I checked the film. Brian Elliott has gray hair. So is this another McElhinney 2.0?
Oh no!
I saw it.
Know that.
I like him too.
He was a good pickup.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when he played for the Flyers. He was a solid goalie when he played for them. We played against
perfect backup.
I agree.
And I agree. So I'm excited to see what he does. I mean, Buffalo, they've been hot. They're not a good team, but again, they're hot. So I'm excited to see what he does tonight.
Absolutely. So let's rewind just a little bit. We'll recap the Panthers game in depth. We fall to the stinking Florida Panthers 4-1 in a game that we got outplayed. Every aspect of the game, I felt like we were just completely outplayed. What do you guys think?
Relatively early in that game, we had a 5-on-3, and it was a long 5-on-3. It was like a 90-second, minute and a half 5-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't convert. Set the tone for the rest of the game. Chalk it up as a loss. I mean, you could feel it was tangible. Kucherov not being there on that 5-on-3. When Palat got the puck, they just rushed him. They just straight up bull rushed him, and he didn't know what to do. He would literally panic, and they would just clear it. It was nothing would get going. We tied it up in the third. Braden Point obviously comes in clutch in the playoffs, comes in clutch in the regular season all the time. I mean, we'll talk about it in the Avs game. He tied it up too. But what I want to bring up in that game was Chernak.
Oh
Chernak
my God.
last year made the dumbest decision I've ever seen in the playoffs and essentially scored on our own team when he tried to pass the puck back to Bassey. And I remember, and I looked at you. I was watching that game with you, Devin. I said, he is never going to make that mistake again. Like, that is, in that situation, you're never going to fucking do that again. He did it again. Passes it back.
What is the advantage of throwing the puck in the middle? Throw it to the boards. Please clear it.
It's not like it's soccer where he's like 30 yards away from the goalie and you can pass it back to goal. Like, there's 4 people within a 1 foot radius of Vassy. Like, you can't just try and give him the puck. That's stupid. And he did it again, and we lost.
It's very bold. You know, it's interesting because this is something that, like, to take it back to last season while we look at that game and that play with Chernak, when they brought in David Savard at the deadline and he struggled early on, you know, everybody kind of assumed his struggles were because the defensive scheme switched from where he was to when he got here to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is one of these teams that does put a lot of pucks in the middle of the ice when they're trying to pass it up and open up some opportunities. And they're so talented that we don't notice it much as dangerous. The problem is it is dangerous. And when you don't have your guys full strength, or there is a lapse in judgment like Chernak had both last year in the playoffs and in the game you're referring to, it's glaring. It's like, how is this the way that we're approaching our business on defense and getting the puck up ice? So I'm with you. The only thing I'll say is, even if it's something that seems like a very scary area of the ice to pass in, Chernak has been in this system long enough. He knows better. So he should be able to either make that pass if he's going to go for it or not attempt it knowing it's not the right time. That's really on him, because even though the system does scare me to death, we've seen it work so well for a while now. You know, it's interesting too, you guys brought up how the Panthers really outplayed the Bolts. I think we can all be comfortable with the power play taking some time to figure itself out, losing Kucherov. But that's when we're looking at 5-on-4. I don't care if you're playing with all the guys from the crunch against an NHL squad. If you have a 5-on-3, you should score every time. Like, there's no excuse for that. Whether Kucherov, Point, and Stammer could have all been out that game, and you would have told me they had a 5-on-3 and didn't score, and I'd be pretty pissed off about it. So I think that part to me was definitely something I felt was more unacceptable. And it's just, you know, y'all both mentioned it. Phil Esposito says it a lot too, the godfather of hockey here in Tampa Bay. Most of the time in his memory, teams lose if you can't score on 5-on-3. Like, I don't know if there's a next gen statistic out there.
There should be.
But nobody can ever remember a game where they're like, oh, they didn't score on a 5-on-3, whether it's the Bolts or any team in the league, and they won the game. It's just not something that really ever happens. And if it does, it's super rare.
Those are the hockey gods right there. That's the hockey gods.
I'm just watching that game, and it just seems like we can never get that momentum where we're controlling the game. I feel like we're always this season chasing the game and trying to gain momentum, and every other team always has the momentum. There's not one game that I'm like, we've dominated, we kind of deserve. I think we played a lot better in the Avs game, and we'll get into that next, but every game I feel like we're chasing, we're trying to play catch up, we're a step behind every time, and it's something we're not used to, like, especially these past couple years, and it sucks, man.
You mentioned, but even in that Panthers game, though, like, so obviously Point had the goal, but he had a breakaway towards the end on a different power play that he should have scored on, and that, like, typically he does. Patty Maroon had a wide open net at one point. He was so pissed he missed it. He snapped his stick. Like, though, there were so many. And it's one thing if you're hitting the crossbar, but if you're getting close to the net and you have scoring chances and you're not able to put it in the twine, that's not the Lightning. You're not going to win a lot of games not being able to do that. So I thought they did a much better job. I know we'll kind of transition at some point to the Colorado game. They did much better at capitalizing on those chances against Colorado, but against the Panthers, like, every time the Panthers had a good opportunity, it seems like they made it hurt, and then the Bolts just couldn't for the life of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and just transition into the Avs game. In a game that I thought was very winnable. The boys came out and they surprised me. I picked them to lose, and honestly, I thought we were going to get blown out. You get a team with Nathan McKinnon back, already playing really good hockey. The only weak point really is, to me, their goaltending, because, you know, they lose Grubauer to Seattle. But, I mean, we should have won that game. Zach, what do you think?
First of all, it's highly entertaining, right? This is something that expecting to potentially be a Stanley Cup final matchup, right? If you looked at the Vegas odds heading into the year, the Avalanche at the top with the Lightning right there in the mix as well. And the Avalanche have been, my pick the last 2 seasons and let me down on the West side for the NHL brackets in the playoffs because they're that good. They're that talented. And they're one of the few teams, if maybe the only team, that if at full strength, you're saying who's the most talented team in the NHL, it's the Lightning, but the Avalanche have a claim to that. And I could see the argument either way. So I do want to say, it was an entertaining game. It's good to see Stamkos continue to kind of have a strong start to his season. That's important. Braden Point getting in the mix again.
You were at the game though, right?
I was. Yeah. Look, you're never happy after a loss. But when you can get a point against, again, arguably the best team in the league, or at least the best team on the West side, it's hard to feel bad about that, especially, guys, we just spent, 10 minutes talking about all the struggles. Those still existed against the Avs, but you find a way to get it into overtime, right? Playing from behind multiple times. You find a way to get to the shootout, and you're just unfortunately not able to score as many as the opponent, but you still get that point. It's early in the year. And again, I hate being this guy because there's no moral victories, but in hockey, at least you get a point in a moral victory, right? So right. I know it's basic to say it that way, but I was happy with the effort. They seemed more juiced, not in the first period. I was there. I felt like they were flat again, but I felt like overall they bit back, they bounced back a few different times. And I ultimately, I'm okay with the result and the effort. Again, if you're looking at the full picture.
All right. Milkman, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you're playing a team with the caliber as the Avs, I mean, you're not loving a point, but yeah, I mean, you're okay walking away with the point, and I agree with that. Speaking of point, Braden Point came in clutch again. He tied it up when he needed to late in the game
on a beautiful shot.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
By the way, and I know we're recording this mid-game, but the Sabres scored within the first 2 minutes. It's already 1-0 at this point in the production. So I obviously haven't seen the goal yet, but not a great start for Brian Elliott as a backup.
Maybe
goalie.
The gray hair.
Milkman said it.
Good.
Can't have a goalie with gray hair.
It's early though. It's early.
Hey,
it's early.
Maybe we'll ship him a little just for men. See what happens. But I would say 2 times in the shootout, I thought we won. I thought we had it. I mean, when Vasi's back there, you do get a little overconfident. And twice, I thought we were going to walk away with victories, and we didn't.
We got to tuck them, man. We got to tuck them. Like you said, Vasi gave us a chance. When Stamkos shot it and scored, 100%, I was like, we're going to win this. Here it is. Yep. Vasi's going to shut him down. And you can't win games always relying on your goaltending. You got to tuck some of those goals away, especially against a goalie who has not been proven. He's not proven to be an elite goaltender. Like, you got to take advantage of the times that you do play maybe more of a lower tier goalie, and that is the Avalanche's weakest part of their game, in my opinion, because they're just loaded everywhere else, and losing a starting goaltender that was up for a Vezina last year with Grubauer. That's not easy shoes to fill. So. I guess just my overall question to you both would be, are you worried?
No.
I'll go first. I actually am a little.
I'll let you take it.
I think Z's a little different. I don't think he's too worried, but I actually am a little worried. I'm not worried in that I think we're gonna have a miserable season. I think we're gonna have a good season, but that first line, I mean, it doesn't look great. And with Cooch missing, it hurts. Stammer, he's made with toothpicks and rubber bands. So if God forbid, Stammer goes down or one more injury, this team could be in a lot of trouble if we lost a Stammer or Hedman. So I would say I'm a little worried. I don't think the season's over. Obviously, I'm not in that, I'm not in a panic mode, but I'm not all happy rainbows, golden pot, thinking that we're going to probably get the 1 or 2 seed and going to ride back to the Stanley Cup and see what happens.
No, so I'd agree in the concept of it's going to be more work this year because of the changing in lines, because of the inability to adjust to the Kucherov injury prior to the season, with it happening in season and really catching the team off guard, not knowing, if it'll be 10 weeks or longer, or maybe, whatever it ends up the timeline looking like once it's all said and done, things can get stretched. Plus, like I mentioned, you throw in the Olympics, it's another mysterious element to think about. I get the idea too that as John Cooper tries to move lines around, figure out the power play, figure out what works well, which kids from the crunch. Cal Foot's conditioning right now. He's a defenseman that is finally at the point where he should be contributing. I was a high draft pick not too long ago, and it's about time he gets with the big boys and actually plays like, if not every night, most nights. So I think there are still some things that are going to fall in favor for the Bolts here. And again, that's why I'm not like freaking out too much. But with that being said, you can't fall back too far while you're trying to work through these early season growing pains or the Stanley Cup hangover, or again, in their case, both in Tampa Bay. So I think as long as they can find ways to get points, and win some games here and there and just stay relevant. You don't need to dominate. You don't need to dominate. You're back-to-back Cup champs. You could be the last seed in the East, and everyone's still going to be like, they're the ones to beat. They're the back-to-back champs. So you don't have to prove anything. You just have to make sure that you're in the mix and that your guys are as healthy as possible down the road. So I won't freak out one way or the other. I think where I would probably put the most stock in terms of like nervousness is let's see how that third line shapes out, right? Give me like 5, 6, 7 weeks of them. And let's see if they aren't even comparable in any capacity to the Gord, Gaudreau, Coleman line. Because if they're not, okay, I won't be worried about the team overall, but I'm going to be worried about trying to win a third cup in a row because that line is invaluable, what they did the last couple of years.
Absolutely. I'm a little worried. I'm kind of like Milkman. I'm a little worried. Maybe just because we've been so dominant, and this every year, every team's going to be different. Like every championship team is going to have a different feel, whatever. This one is just nowhere near close so far to the other team. So maybe it's just getting used to it or whatever. But I don't know, man. I'm just so used to us dominating, and it's just so weird not being that team. But like you guys said, if you just stay in the hunt, let's keep it going. Find ways to pick up a point. Love what we did against the Avalanche. I didn't even think we would pick up a point. We did. That's a good start, but we're already down to the Sabres. So these are some big, tough. These are games that are very winnable. Sabres, Pittsburgh, and the Coyotes this week. Gotta win them. Gotta win these games because they're for the taking. I kind of want to hop into something that fell into our lap. Barre Boulet, right back with the Lightning. All of NHL is very mad, and I just love going on the comments and just reading all the comments of, oh my God, these people should have signed him, But they don't understand how hockey works. If you place a guy on waivers and they waive him, you get the first claim. And now they're saying that you get the jokes of the LTIR and everything. So I love it. I love the NHL community pissed off because Alexander Barre-Boulet, to me, was a guy that I was looking forward to stepping up and filling that third line. We haven't get to see him yet. I haven't checked the lineup to see if he's in tonight, but I mean, that's a blessing.
He is in tonight because Maroon, shout out to the Maroons, just welcomed another baby into the world. So Barre-Boulet got to step in his place. Yeah, the funniest thing to me is like he's making I think $780K or $785K, and he was like an undrafted guy, and like we like him because we've seen a little bit of him, and he's a scrappy guy. But if anybody in their right mind thinks the Lightning were like, hey, we're gonna shelve Cooch for the next like foreseeable future for at least a few months to bring in an undrafted guy making less than $1 million. Like, you just give me a break. Like, come on. Right. If the Lightning really were playing like mastermind, like we're smarter than you, go out and trade for like Eichel before he comes back from injury, right? Like, or go find like a guy that is just floating out there unhappy on a team and be like, hey, we've got a home with the back-to-back champs here, and we got a lot of money we didn't expect to have. This is like not even smart conspiracy theory. This is like backwoods, doesn't make sense conspiracy theory.
Well, all the hockey purists out there just never respect Tampa ever because we're a Southern team that wins.
If we were a Canadian team, we would have not gotten any disrespect. I don't think.
No doubt.
No doubt. They would have been completely non-tainted cups. But since it's from Tampa, since it's Florida, they're tainted. They're going to find reasons to figure out.
And the names get engraved the same, right? Like people can say whatever they want. Best trophy in all of sports. And Devin, you mentioned early in the show, it's not in Tampa now because it is finally getting those names on there. People can call it whatever they want, but those names are literally engraved with Cup champs
for 50 years, and they got to look at it.
Yeah,
suck it.
Mic drop. Yep,
suck it. I hate all of NHL Twitter. They really know how to trigger me, man. And you know how I am. I'm obnoxious and I like to clap back, but it gets under my skin. So you guys should keep doing it because you're doing a good job.
People hate winners unless they're on the team. Unless that's their team, they hate them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's hop in real quick. Player who stood out for you and a player who needs to step it up. We'll start with Milkman. This past week.
Stood out. I would have to say Point. Braden Point. I mean, there were 2 times we were down. He tied it back up, gave us chances to win the game. Didn't happen. The opposite, his line mate, Palat. There were too many times, and I'm not a huge fan of Palat in general, but I do have a microscope on him. And at the end of the day, even with the first line being out there, he's the one who makes most of the turnovers. With the power play out there, they try to put him out. They didn't do it as much on the Colorado game just because how ineffective he was in that Panthers game. He was terrible. He was turning the puck over. He obviously does score sometimes, but he just messes up way too much for the first line. And when you're the first line of a loaded roster like the Tampa Bay Lightning, you got to convert. And so Palat's the guy who needs to step up for me.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I mean, I think there's certainly a lot of love for Braden Point out here. Even with the Kucherov stuff, like everybody's first thought was like, all right, BP's got to be the man. I want to give it to the captain, though. I want to give Stamkos some credit and really not just the last week, but really the first 2 weeks of the season really starting out here. This is a guy who, if y'all remember in the playoffs, like wasn't really a scoring threat. He just was missing teeth. He was putting dudes' faces in the boards. Like he was like playing dad hockey all of last cup. I swear. And I loved it because I was like, we joke about him being so brittle and the toothpick man. And, last cup, we forget like how tough and brutal he was in going after opponents in that last cup win. So to see him do that, and I was like, wow, hats off to anybody who can change their game, let alone the captain of a team, the face of a franchise. But then he's come out this year and been like, no, don't get it twisted. I can still score. I still got my spot in the office. Now, again, you want to see him be more successful in the power play, but just generally speaking, he's a guy who is, I think, keeping this ship afloat to the best of his abilities. He's doing what captains are supposed to do. So he's a guy to me who has really stood out. I feel like every game there's a moment from him where I'm like, that's why he has been the guy in Tampa Bay for, the better part of a decade and a half now. Somebody who I'd like to see step up. I think you could get really abstract with this. My first thought was like Hedman, who hasn't played bad, but he's a guy who on the power play could be the difference maker. Same thing with like a guy like Killorn. I'm going to go back to Chernak, though. I mean, that's a guy who I think, because similar to what Stamkos, I think him and I think positive game to game the last couple of weeks, and this week specifically too. Chernak's the opposite. Like in my head, and maybe that's unfair to him, but I think of his impact on games, and it's negative. I've thought of like the bad things he's done, including giving up, obviously, the one right in front of his own net. So I think that's a guy who is a vet now, right? Like this isn't a guy who, not that he was a rookie last year or a young guy, but he's supposed to be one of the staples. He's supposed to be one of the guys that on one of the top lines there defensively after Hedman that you can trust. And right now he hasn't been as trustworthy as he should be.
Yeah. And I'll say that he is the reason why Yanni Gord isn't here, because we had to take we chose 7 to protect, and we did that for Chernak and Sergachev and McDonough.
Yep.
So like, if you're that guy and you're going to lose a caliber player of Yanni Gord, you better step up, man. Like you
100%,
got to do that. To me, the player that is standing out, I'm going to go with Braden Point as well as Milkman said. He's starting to get in his groove. He's starting to tuck the puck away. A guy that I want to see step up though, Boris Kachuk. Like I said this in the beginning of the season. We cut Alexander Barre-Boulet, who was like my sleeper guy that I loved. Same thing with Taylor Radish. Waived Barre-Boulet, a guy who already had ice time, showed that he can hang with the big boys. For 2 guys who haven't done it, we've read a lot about him.
Yep. Great.
But you got to go out there and you got to perform. I have not heard or seen an impact from him. And if he's going to be the one getting the call every night over Radish, one of those 2 has to step up. At this point, you got to step it up. So that's a guy to me that get your name on the stat sheet, start doing something right, because you're not doing a lot of anything right now.
And real quick, just to piggyback off that with you, this is a team who's always had young talent coming up in the farm system. They haven't had to rely on that. It's been a nice bonus. Ross Colton last year was awesome. Mitchell Stevens the previous year, and Matthew Joseph in his breakout season 3 ago. So you've seen these guys constantly being brought up, but this is a year where it's not like a luxury that they have a good system of young guys. They got to play, and they got to be good. Otherwise, this team isn't going to go and be the team that it needs to be to win another cup or put themselves at least in a position to.
That's a great point. We have had the luxury, and that's just another reason why this season is different, because usually the young guys come up because someone's out for 10 to 15 days. Oh, here comes – that's how Barre Boulet came up last year. Like, oh, look at this guy. He's pretty good. Didn't have to play him. Didn't see him in the playoffs. Tucked him away in our back pocket. That's why I got excited about him. But now – you got to step it up. You got to play. So I think that's a terrific point. So we're going to go ahead and head to our mail time segment. We got our first voicemail. I have not listened to it yet, so I hope it's not really vulgar. If it is, Sammer, please cut this out. But this is if you do want to call in, the number is, let me pull it up, 813-922-8846. Once again, that's 813-922-8846. Call in, leave a voicemail, or just shoot us a text, and we'll read it live on the show. Here is our first mailbag.
Hey, boys, this is Lewis in SoCal. Just wanted to let you guys know the first week's show was really, really good. You guys got something good going here. It's always great to get new hockey content. I'm not a Lightning fan. I'm a Ducks fan out here in Anaheim. But really good first week. The only thing I really didn't like is kind of the little shade at Stamkos. He's a little bit injured, but he's still a Hall of Fame player, so stick behind your guns, guys. If we had Steve Stamkos, I'd be extremely thrilled in Anaheim. But, Vasilevsky looked a little shaky the first couple games, but also I don't think the third and fourth line defense actually looked really, really good. I was much better improved performance against Washington for you guys, but I got a little tough stretch here with you got Buffalo, Colorado, and Pittsburgh coming up. So just keep improving. You got about another 79 games to go. You guys will probably hit your stride in November, December, because I know you guys are just coming off back-to-back Stanley Cup runs. So those guys, I'm sure, are pretty beat down and worn. So just give them a little time to get their legs back. About December, they'll hit their stride, and you guys are still probably the best team in the NHL. But when you guys play the Ducks, I will call in. All right, later.
Lewis in SoCal, thank you so much, man. He brought up a lot of good points.
Appreciate the call, Lewis.
I do appreciate the call, but I guess he picked up on my Stamkos shade. I love Stamkos. Don't get me wrong. I'll say it again. I just had to talk a little shit to get him going, and he did. He looks like the best player on the ice. I just hope he can keep it up. But I think I appreciate you calling in all the way from California, not even being a Lightning fan, but watching loose pucks. So that's awesome.
I mean, I'll pick your brain on this, both y'all. And obviously I just gave Stamkos some love, and I'll say this, the last two postseasons, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody in Tampa Bay that was harder on Stammer than I was those last two cup runs. And I've had to eat my words a few times on him, because he always finds a way to be relevant and make that impact and keep the C on his chest. Beyond that, though, I think with Stammer, I don't even know if he's supposed to be like the guy on his line when everybody's fully healthy. I mean, Tony Cirelli is a guy that they're really excited about. We've seen Anthony do big things. I think he's supposed to be the guy. Killorn obviously is a dangerous scorer too, but really they're hoping, I think, that like Anthony Cirelli can kind of not necessarily be Kucherov or Braden Point, but that next tiered player that they can rely on to score goals. And it's honestly been more Stammer so far, at least this season.
I've personally never really seen the scoring side of Cirelli. I've seen the Selke candidate. I mean, he is just amazing on defense. He's always causing turnovers, and he's also good at passing. I agree, but really the scores that he had have been like breakaways where he just kind of gets the goalie guessing, and he almost like runs into the goalie half the time when he's on those breakaways. Like he's on control.
He does.
And he's just so out of control a lot of times. Then like, he's just an around the puck score, or around the net, not around the puck, but around the net score where he can get that way. But I don't see him as a natural scorer like Stamkos. I mean, Stamkos' slap shot, I've never seen Cirelli do one slap shot like that in his entire Tampa Bay Lightning career. I hope that he gets much better, and I hope that he gets much better. I'm talking offensively. Defensively, he's fantastic. He's one of the top players on our team. He's young, so obviously there's a lot of time to groom, but I really do hope that he becomes a 50-point guy a year. That would be amazing. If he becomes a 50, 60-point guy a year. That would be fantastic. I just don't know if I see that coming.
You guys want to hear a really funny Cirelli story real quick?
You got a Cirelli? Oh, man, dude.
Yeah.
I love story time.
It's with me and Cirelli. So this is the year is 2020. It's when the whole shoot the puck incident went down. Mm-hmm. And obviously we win the cup. I know people within the organization. I got to go back at American Social to like the VIP area or whatever. My girlfriend has a Cirelli jersey. That is her favorite player. She just loves him so much. I am very drunk, to say the least. Let me just say that, okay? I'm partying like I was the one skating on the ice.
I see you, bro.
I'm out there taking shots with Cooper, stuff like that. And I see Cirelli. And I was like, babe, that's Cirelli. I was like, let's go get a picture. So they introduced me. Cooper introduced me. Cirelli, this is Devin. He's the shoot the puck guy. Ha, ha, ha. I whisper in his ear. Hey, man, you guys won the Stanley Cup. You can have her. I was on one, man. I had to offer. Listen, he brought me so much happiness and pleasure. I offered up my girlfriend, and she'll tell you I offered up my girlfriend to Anthony Cirelli. But if I lose my girlfriend to Anthony Cirelli, it means I'm doing something right in life.
Oh, yeah,
so it's
man.
So it's a win-win situation. I just thought it would be very rude if I didn't offer.
You were just like, listen, bro, if you want to like hit on her, like I get it. Like
no, if he wants to like take her from me completely and like marry her, he could have her.
Completely donate.
I have to start from scratch. Good, babe, this has been a great run, but you're on to bigger and better things.
And she was all on for it too. She's like, yeah, I'm backing that up.
She actually, I think she hit me. It was like, why would you say that? She's probably deep down inside like, yeah.
I don't know if this is throwing you under the bus, Devin, but that is not the first professional sports player I've tried to see you give your girlfriend to. There's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer player I've seen you literally firsthand try to give her to as well in a freaking monster of Vita Bay.
Yep,
you just tried to zonate her to Vita Bay as well.
Yeah, maybe I should stop doing that. But listen, I've been so – this is prior to us winning. Now I'm used to it. Now I'm not so desperate. But I offered that up before the first Super Bowl, or like it was the 7 and 9 year, because she followed him. She followed my girlfriend on Instagram because she like tagged him or in like a video when we were like at the hotel or something. But that's when I was. Right? That was desperate Dev. But now I've went to rehab. I've came back. We've won some championships, and I'm not so desperate for a championship. So I will no longer be offering up my girlfriend relationships with the players.
I will say, ironically, my girl's favorite player is Cirelli right now too. So I don't know what Tony's got going on. Like he's got some kind of swag.
God damn it, Tony!
He's got the swag, bro. He's got the swag.
He does. So no more of that, Alyssa. If you're watching, I'm sorry. I mean it. Before we preview and close out the preview this week's, we're going to go ahead into our Shoot the Puck segment. So I always like to start off with our guests. This is the segment where we'll give you, 30 seconds to a minute, give your take, shoot the puck on what everything going on with the Bolts. Z-Man, Mr. Blobner, kick us off.
Yo, first of all, how about the bling, baby? I don't think we're giving enough credit to the new rings. And you know what? I like that they didn't like go even crazier than the last ring, crazier than what the Milwaukee Bucks just put out. They got like a QR code on there. It's like, I don't need the website. When you're winning back-to-back cups, like you just want to have two that you can just hold up. Antoine Winfield Jr. showed them this is the deuces. Now the Bolts get to do the same thing. So I want to shout out to the Vinnick group, obviously taking care of their people, Jeffrey Vinnick, and having a great party and doing that. They got Fallout Boy. How do you get Fallout Boy to your party? Like what? They just called him. You just know like Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump and these cats. Like I didn't know Vinnick had it like that, but I see you, baby. I see you doing your thing. And I'll say this, on the ice, it's all good right now because it's early. I know that Stanley Cup hangover. It's weighing on you. Like, you just woke up after a 3-day bender and you feel it. And you want to be good. You want to be juicing with your boys and having a good time, but it's just weighing you down. The Bulls need to get to Walmart, get some of that off-brand Pedialyte, get them electrolytes back in their system, and be the team we expect them to be. And I got full faith that's going to happen at some point or another. And at some point or another, too, Kucherov will be back and we'll be all right.
I fucking love it. Way to bring the heat, Z-Man.
Yeah.
I love it. Even though you took some of my shoot the puck segment and now I'm scrambling in my head.
Ouch. Scramble. I'll give you some time.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
My shoot the puck is the special teams. It is both sides of the special teams. One, the power play, and I think that's obviously the most important side. Without Cooch, it's struggling. The 5-on-3, we talked about it earlier against the Panthers, having zero productivity is pathetic. So that's got to change ASAP Rocky. And then the other side, the penalty kill. We've talked about the third line. That was also our penalty kill. I mean, Gord was killing penalties. Barclay, Goodrow, Coleman, they were all killing penalties all the time. So now we got to see what Bellemare is doing. We got to see what the AHL guys, the Syracuse guys, Radish, Katuk, ABB. I don't really see him as a PK guy very much. But we got to see how those guys step up as well, because at the end of the day, the last 2, 3, 4 years, we have owned special teams, both sides. We have had a top 10 penalty kill and a top 5 power play. If we falter in both of those,
not a good recipe.
Not a good recipe. So I need to see both of our special teams turning the fuck up.
Absolutely. And
Let's
I
go.
will say
Let's go.
this on the Bellemare and Joseph. I thought they looked great on the penalty kill against the Avs. I think they did really well,
agree.
and I want to give them their flowers because that could be the power. That could be the new Nat line. It's not going to be the same, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. Like, I thought they looked fantastic. A lot of speed, a lot of disruption. I loved it. So
I agree.
Great way to bring the heat, Milkman. My shoot the puck segment. This team is missing something. We know Cooch is out, but who is going to be the one to step it up? Boris Kachuk, Taylor Radish, somebody. We need a spark. We need something. The eyes are on Point. The eyes are on Cirelli. Who is going to be that guy this year? We've had a record success of bringing up guys and then be like, oh my God, where did he come from? How did the Lightning get him? This is bullshit. Salary cap that he's getting him at this price. Someone needs to be that guy. Step it the fuck up. Lock it in. I will add a little bit of the shoot the puck that you took. I talked about it earlier. The cup is fucking gone. All right? It sailed away down the river. It's going to Montreal. The people are going to put their names on it. Congratulations, man. It is a new season. Lock it the fuck in. The parties are over. I don't want to see you out at American Social. All right? I don't want to see y'all out until y'all turn it around.
Nope.
Y'all start winning, you get your American Social privileges back. I don't want to see y'all
You're blackballing
out.
him from the bar? You're blackballing him?
Yes. Start winning some games and be dominant, man. Y'all got me over here stressing on my couch making
Yes.
podcasts, yelling at the computer screen, talking to y'all.
No more poutine in the cup.
No
more
more
poutine.
No more American
No.
Social.
We want deep leafy greens and protein.
I want y'all at the house playing 2K or NHL or doing something or watching film. Actually, you don't even get video game privileges until y'all turn it up.
No. I was saying, you don't play video games?
No. Get in the
Nope.
figure out
We gotta
be in the gym. Kobe
If
Bryant.
we start
2
getting,
a.m.
if we start winning games and maybe scoring and getting
y'all get
leads in
y'all get
regulation,
one Saturday out
maybe you can
after.
play some chow.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got these
I mean,
boys
home by
skating
one,
2
but
days.
definitely.
Skating
I'm
2
the
days with a
Greg Schiano-
hangover,
I'm the
man.
Greg
That's
Schiano
rough.
of hockey. All right.
Oh,
Toes on the line.
Oh man.
Bitch.
Oh man. You touched that a lot.
Hopefully the results are better this time around.
Yeah.
For this.
Oh man.
No, I got faith though.
Jeez.
But let's just lock it in, boys. Let's lock it in.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Before we close out the show, we're just going to preview this week's game. Obviously, the Sabres game is going on right now. Surprisingly, they're 3-1-1. Very winnable game. All 3 of these games are very, very winnable. And to me, I know it's early, but I want to go out and say it. These are must-win games. You talk about staying in the hunt. To me, these are games that you got to win. You got to figure something out, grind out some wins. We got a tough schedule coming up like later on. But this week, these are very winnable games. And I want to see us bounce back against Pittsburgh as well. Like, we got embarrassed opening night. So we go to at Pittsburgh Tuesday. They're 3-2. And then we're at home against the Coyotes Thursday night. Jesus, dude. We better win that game. They're 0-4-1.
Yeah, and the Coyotes are the worst team in the
They're
NHL. They are.
I can't name one player on their team. They're horrible.
Yeah, I don't think I have anybody.
I don't know if I could either.
Not one.
Nope.
Is Kessel still on there?
I was about to say, do they still got the guy from the Penguins, Kessel, or is he
Phil
gone?
Kessel. No. I think he went somewhere
So, yeah,
good.
I don't know anyone then.
That's a
nothing.
winnable game. I try to average it out though, and I was trying to remind myself with hockey to take into consideration the points, right? So as long as they're averaging a point on the road, I can live with that. But I'm with you though. I mean, the Pens, and they just before the podcast here too, Letang's going to be out for them. That's a huge blow. He's on the COVID.
We got to win
now.
this game.
So
no Letang, no Malkin, no
Yeah.
Crosby. Come on, man.
We got to win this.
Yeah.
And after getting embarrassed on banner night, no.
They should take it personally. The Bolts, they should come out with some fire in Pittsburgh, no doubt. The game, by the way, the good news is, as we recorded this, we saw Brian Elliott give up a goal for the Lightning, but it is tied now. Killorn was able to get a puck in thanks to that. He's on a line with Sorelli and Matthew Joseph tonight, which is wild. So Stammer
Is Stammer with point?
He must be. He must be on that first line.
That's what I was looking to see, actually. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I don't like point, Plot, and just some other guy up there. Okay. I think that at this point, without Cooch, we got to put Stammer and Point together. If Plot wants to be the other guy, whoever it is, I don't really care. But I think you got to put those two guys together. We can't separate those. When you have Cooch, you got a goal to show for it
tonight on the second line.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of that mixing up, though. Like, I think every night it's going to be so different. They're mixing it up, trying to find that recipe, and I'm fine with it. But while you're doing that, let's grind out some of these wins and pick up some points because just stay in the hunt, baby. I'm not worried about what position. I'm not worried about home ice. We've proved that we can win on the road, all that. Yep. We're a veteran team. I don't care. Just get me to the dance, baby. Get me to the dance.
Hell yeah. Can't win the cup right now, but we can damn sure make it hard to win it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely. Boys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Z-Man, you're always welcome back here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate
and
you.
being our expertise today.
Yes. No, good to see what you guys are doing, man. Love what the Loose Cannons got rocking here, and good to see the brand, which is already having a lot of love and luck with the Bucks, show some love to the Bolts. Maybe someday we'll get some Rays too. I got faith, man. Maybe a baseball one coming next year, but no,
it's already in the works.
I like it.
Might be in the works.
Might be in the works.
Seriously though, good to see you guys up and running. And this is what do you guys? This is episode 3, right? Awesome to see y'all rocking and doing your thing, man. And a great addition to already a great market full of great hockey talk. Y'all just fit right in. So happy to have it.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Milkman, you're beautiful. Oh, real quick before we leave, I have to ask you this while you're on. He traded Myles Gaskin in a dynasty league for a first-round pick, next year first-round pick. Is that crazy or is that crazy? Or am I just tripping?
So you got a first-round pick back for Gaskin.
No.
I got a 2023 first-round pick, and I
from a
traded
dude who
away
doesn't
Myles
value
Gaskin
any picks.
and a third-rounder or a fourth rounder. One of those two. Fourth rounder.
Are you? And he's the commish. This is
no,
collusion.
I got the better collusion. How's it collusion? I sent the same trade to everybody. I sent the same trade to 9 people. One of them accepted it. How is that collusion?
Let him speak. Z-Man.
I look, man. It's a sensitive subject. I've had a lot of leagues. I've had to leave because of collusion and sabotage, and it's real. It really happens. I don't know if that's happening in y'all's league. Y'all have a better feel for it than I do. I will say that trade seems pretty lopsided.
Granted, it's not a dynasty league that's continuous. After 5 years, the dynasty league stops. So there's only one more draft after that. So this rookie is going to only play for like 2 years, and then we're completely redrafting the league.
So it's not like trying to make it sound better. It is a bullshit trade.
I mean, that's huge.
It is a bullshit trade. Zac Blobner said it himself. And with that, we're out of here. You're not explaining yourself. Thanks for watching the Loose Punks. Have a great night.